I didn't know what to expect on this, and Tom Atkins invited me and said, we got an award for you, and I said, oh sure, and we had just been to Europe a couple of months ago, but it was nice to get back again for a few days, and it's been very nice, and the edit group seemed like a really good group, and I think any time that people with like thoughts can get together in one place and exchange ideas and exchange business cards and techniques is a good thing. So that there's not just names you're dealing with real people that you've heard of and you can talk to. Yeah, I really feel I've been doing this for my whole life. Not part of my life, my whole life, because I was so young when I started doing it. But I still feel really connected to it. I can remember shooting all that stuff when I was a kid. I remember every moment of doing it. And it's pretty neat. I can't quite understand how I got to where I am from doing that, but it's obviously all related, and at some point I grew up and I had to get a job and all that sort of stuff, and it's funny that I am doing the same stuff. I was shooting dinosaurs. I've got little still photos of dinosaurs that I shot in my backyard when I was 6 years old, and here I do Jurassic Park. And I did this sequence from this low-budget film. I showed a sequence from a low-budget film that I did called Equinox that had a 15-foot-tall green giant in it. And I just finished the Hulk. It was 15 feet tall and green. It's like, how does this happen? Plus, I shot years ago commercials for Green Giant. And we had the actual actor as the Green Giant selling corn, So it's funny how all this kind of all relates, Well, if somebody were crazy enough to want to substitute actors, I think, and given enough time and money, you could probably do it right now. It just is still really expensive. And there would need to be a lot of research on getting the skin just right and copying the person exactly and getting all the little muscle structures correct in the performance. It's not just making it. The performance, we found out, is equally or more difficult than making the skin, probably equally difficult. Because a still is one thing, but when he has to move, we sort of know the way Clint Eastwood's face moves completely different from Mel Gibson's face. It was completely different from Tom Hanks. It's not just the shape of their face, it's what muscles move in certain ways. So it could be, I think it's possible, it would just be a big project. And what do you get when you're done? I don't see a win in doing it. People want to bring back Humphrey Bogart or something, but I think there's this mystique like, well, if it's done with a computer, it's sort of godlike. Well, it isn't at all. It's 20 animators and 20 TDs working on something and 10 modelers and a poor director trying to direct all these people to get a performance. It's there's nothing like an actor. So, but it's like a holy grail. People are pursuing it, and it's interesting. At some point someone will do it, but I don't think you'll be seeing movies done that way. I'm not sure what's coming up. I think I'm hoping we get into 3D movies. I think those can look pretty neat if we can get the distribution set up so the funding will be there and they'll make their money back. I think that's got a really neat future. And from my point of view, it'd be exciting to start working in depth, being able to communicate effects and all within the 3D space. It could be pretty neat. But the hardware is going to get faster and the software is going to get faster. There's going to be more interactivity, so directors and supervisors and everybody can do the work in a shorter period of time, which hopefully will mean that we can be more experimental and come up with alternate ways of looking at things. Right now, it's still so expensive. You pretty much have to at the beginning figure out how you want something to look, and then do it. And you can do a little tests, but you don't have much time. Whereas on a set, you can walk on with your actors and rehearse and try things and look around and come up with the best thing. It'd be nice to really have that freedom, to do that in an effect. And you can kind of do it now if you go into a virtual world to do it, but it's not nearly as detailed or as real yet as the real world is. So I think we're getting closer. I think we're getting to some point, maybe where games are going to mix in with movies. The technology of the two will mix in even more than they are now. I think it would be nice if that happened. One of the problems with the reality of that is that the post-production process takes a while, and that cameraman is in great demand to go work on his next movie. So he's going to have to make a sacrifice. And the studios are, as of now, are not going to want to pay him the same salary for both those jobs, whoever it is. So I think that's got a place in a commercial world where you're shooting for 2 days and maybe you're set up and you could post for like 2 weeks or something. But you get into a film where you've got a year of post-production. You know, it would be a rare cameraman who would want to make that change. You know? But from his point of view, any cameraman it's hard on him to give up the vision, because they're really the one that's like dictating what you're seeing in every frame of film. And when you start breaking shots into these separate elements and you shoot them separately and you don't know how they're going to go together because you've never even had a chance to ever see them together, you know, it's pretty frightening. And you definitely are giving something up at that point. So I've always been encouraging cameramen to get involved in this. And if they not necessarily live with it for a year, but to come up, see what we're doing, give input. You know, we can send, and we do it all the time, send frames of our work all over the world, wherever cameramen are working on their next show, and they give us feedback, you know, directly on the telephone or whatever. And we'll try to do what we can on it. You know, there's two answers to that. One is, if he wants to do what I'm doing, then I'd say that, you know, he really ought to learn about computers, he ought to learn about filmmaking, he ought to learn about art and sculpture, motion, just everything. Try to copy work that you've seen in other films, interview people, talk to them, and just produce a lot of stuff. Just do a lot of stuff and be open to criticism of it. And if you show it to people and some of them or a lot of them don't like it, then you've got to like listen to them, or else you're not going to make it in the business, because we're in some way, we're some type of artists, but we are still working for other people that have the final say on stuff. So we've got to take criticism and alter our work to fit into someone else's vision, and that is the director, which is fine. That's, you know, we've all sort of given into that, and because the directors are the ones that make the movie. And so anyway, years and years of doing that and a lot of dedication and don't give up is really a good thing to do what I'm doing now. The other part of that same thing is, if you were Dennis Murren, what do you want to do to be me? I probably wouldn't be doing this. When I was young, I liked effects because you couldn't see them very often. They were special. You know, occasionally you saw them. Now they're everywhere. So I kind of think that Dennis Murren today would not be doing this because they're everywhere. I'd be somewhere else, doing somewhere else, looking for. It'd be, you know, delving into why aren't we doing 3D, or why aren't we doing this, or whatever that I would have just gotten a little glimpse of and been excited about, and and hopefully I would have been lucky enough, like I was in this life, to have it flourish, and I'd be there at the right moment.